Good morning, everybody. We're going to be taking a short break for the rest of this week from CER because for us to continue talking about science, we need to learn the language of science. So you talked about CER, so sight, evidence, and reasoning, which is part of the language of science. Well, we're also going to learn another language of science, which is the metric system. Some of you have maybe worked with a metric system before, some of you haven't. But today, our essential question we're going to be talking about is, what is the metric system and how is it used to measure length, mass, and volume? Our topic question number 1, why is there a need for the metric system? Well, we are one of the only countries that doesn't use it regularly. In fact, the metric system is used internationally in the fields of math and science because it's standardized and easy to use, unlike imperial units that we use. The imperial units of weights and measures originated in Britain in the early 1800s. So an example of imperial units for mass would be things like 1 ton, 1 pound, 1 ounce, things that you're maybe used to using. Well, if we think about this, it can go backwards and forwards. So you could say 1 ounce is equal to, 1 ounce, so you have 16 ounces is 1 pound. 2,000 pounds is 1 ton. So you could also go the other way and say 1 ton, can't talk, divided by 2,000 is 1 pound. 1 pound divided by 16 is 1 ounce. They all roughly convert to one another. Imperial units for length you may have used are things like 1 mile, 1 yard, 1 foot, and 1 inch. And most of you should know that there are 12 inches in a foot, 3 feet in a yard, and there's 1,760 yards in 1 mile. And then last, we have imperial units for fluid volume. I know it's hard to see this. We have 1 gallon, 1 quart, 1 pint, 1 cup, and 1 teaspoon. It takes 16 teaspoons to make a cup, 2 cups to make a pint, 2 pints to make a quart, and 4 quarts to make a gallon. So these are the measurements you all probably have grown up using. Less likely are the things, the dry volume units, a bushel and a peck, but they are actually real units. There are 4 pecks in 1 bushel. So back to the question of why is there a need for the metric system? Well, here in a little bit we're going to do this, but circle the conversion factors that are less than 10, put a square around the conversion factors that are greater than 10. We'll get to that here in a little bit when you're doing it on your own. But for now, let's talk about this. The imperial system units are based on antiquated things like the length of the king's foot, the size of a barley corn. The relationships between units are completely random. There's no reason why one thing is one and one is the other. The metric system is a little bit different though. The metric system is easy. It's really simple because every single unit in the metric system is based off of one magic number, 10, which is really cool, right? So using length as an example. So 1 kilometer divided by 10 is 1 hectometer. 1 hectometer divided by 10 is 1 decameter. 1 decameter divided by 10 is 1 meter. 1 meter divided by 10 is 1 decimeter. And 1 decimeter divided by 10 is 1 centimeter. 1 centimeter divided by 10 is 1 millimeter, and so on and so forth. Well, we're going to watch a quick video, take a break, and we're going to watch a video from NASA called Measuring Failure. But having a common mathematical language that all scientists around the world can all speak is super important because in this day and age, with the internet and with technology being so readily available to everybody, being able to communicate is really handy. So the metric system is kind of the agreed upon unit that everybody uses. Well, what are some of the metric base units? Things like meter for length, gram for mass, liter for volume, and then skip the do for now. topic question 4. What are the prefixes of the metric system and how can we remember them? We have kilo, which is abbreviated K, hecto, abbreviated H, deca, which is abbreviated D or DA. We have whatever your base unit is, again, meter, liter, or gram. We have deci, which is abbreviated little d. Centi is abbreviated little c, and milli is abbreviated with an M. So I grew up learning this mnemonic device to help me remember the order. So I learned King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. Of course, now that's not actually true, but it was a silly little phrase that I could remember in my head to help me learn it. So your challenge is today, one of your challenges is to make up your own mnemonic device to help you remember the metric units in order. As long as it's school appropriate, it can be just about anything. Topic question number 5. Why would you need to convert between metric units? Your friend asks how long your shoes are. You get a meter stick and see that your sneaker measures 0.24 meters or 24 hundredths of a meter. But this isn't very convenient unit to use for this instance. Luckily, 0.24 meters easily converts to 24 centimeters. We just moved the decimal point 2 times to the right, or multiplied it by 100. 24 hundredths of a meter is equal to 24 centimeters. And again, why would you need to convert between metric units? Well, here's this example. An adult male sea turtle gets weighed by a conservation team. His mass is 320,000 grams, but this number is too big for their data table. So they can simply convert it to 320 kilograms by moving the decimal 3 times to the left, or dividing by 1,000. So 320,000 grams is equal to 320 kilograms. That's a lot easier to work with. Well, there it glitched a little. Let me go back. Okay, topic question 6. How do you convert between the metric units? It's all about the decimal point. You should have learned last year a little bit about the decimal point and how you can convert between tenths, hundredths, thousandths, and then whole numbers. It's a little bit different this time, but pretty easy still. Keep in mind that every whole number has an invisible decimal point at the end. So 849 is actually the same thing as 849.0. You could add an invisible 0 to the end of just about any number, right? So how do we convert between the units? It's the King Henry slider. So I go back to my mnemonic device that I had. King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. So you just bounce along the number line. So let's say your number was a decimeter, and you can move backwards and forwards depending on what your unit is. You divide by 10 each hop to the left you make. So if I'm trying to go from centimeters to meters, let's say, I divide by 10, divide by 10. If you're going to the right, let's say I had kilometers and I wanted to go to centimeters. Multiply by 10, multiply by 10, multiply by 10, multiply by 10, multiply by 10. So if you go this direction, if you're going to the left, you divide. If you're going to the right, you multiply. See, it's glitching again. All right. So how to use it again? Put your finger on the unit that you're starting from. Hop left or right to the unit that you want to convert to. Count the number of hops. Move the decimal point in the original number. That number of spaces to the left or right. For example, I want to convert 27.4 grams into milligrams. So I start with my finger on grams, and then I'm going to hop 3 times to the right to get milligrams on the King Henry slider. So I move the decimal point in 27.4, 3 spaces to the right. So 1, 2, 3. This is the same as multiplying 27.4 by 10 times 10 times 10, or 1,000. So 27.4 grams is the same as 27,400 milligrams. Sum it up. Well, practice what you've learned by answering the sum it up questions. Now, at this point, you are going to go back to the beginning, all the way back. Watch this again with me. And this time, though, you're going to be opening on your iPads in split screen, my video on one side, and your student Google Slides on the other. And you will notice that as I go through the slides, they match up. The things that are highlighted in colors are frequently the things that you will need to fill in on your notes. Once we have finished your notes, I will show you tomorrow how to save them to your Google Drive so you can have it anytime you need a reference for, oh my goodness, Mrs. Starling, how do I use the metric system again? And of course, I will be available the first 30 minutes of class today and tomorrow to help answer questions about this, to walk you through it. I'll be able to open it up on my screen, hopefully, and share it with you all. When you're done with your notes, there is a Sum It Up page, which is kind of a practice page at the end of it. Once you've finished everything, you're done, okay? Your Google Slides are really cool. They save automatically. I create them and I set them up to do that for you. Then you'll mark your assignment as done. I expect this to take you 2 days. I don't expect you to have it all done by the end of the day on Wednesday. You'll probably need to have some time Thursday too. Remember to keep studying for your lab safety quiz on Friday. I hope you all have a great day. Thank you for bearing with me as I'm trying new technology and learning how to do Loom videos. I'll probably get better at these, but it's a way for me to teach and to talk over my PowerPoint and my slide presentations like I would if I were in class. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you later.